Welcome to Leading with Heart, the podcast where leadership meets humanity. I'm your host, Sara Valentine, and in each episode, we'll explore how to bring heart into the way we lead, live, and love. HEART stands for hear, empathize, acknowledge, respond, and think. These 5 actions may sound simple, but when practiced consistently, they can transform the way you show up as a leader in the workplace and beyond. So whether you're leading a team, leading a family, or simply leading yourself, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Part 1, Why Trust Matters. Since this is my very first episode, let's start with why this conversation matters. We live in a time where trust and culture aren't just nice to have. They're make or break. According to Deloitte's recent reports, when employees trust their employer, engagement can rise by 20% and turnover can drop by 87%. The Harvard Business Review found that high trust organizations have 50% higher productivity and 76% higher engagement. Companies seen as trustworthy actually outperform others financially by more than 2.5 times. But trust isn't built in spreadsheets. It's built in stories, in everyday micro moments where leaders decide whether to show grace, accountability, and care. And for me, one of those stories started when I was brand new in human resources. Part 2, Trust on Training Wheels. Before I was a VP, before I was coaching leaders and designing culture strategies, I was an HR assistant. And let me tell you, I was green. I had never done HR before. I didn't even realize how much I didn't know. I worked in this tiny closet-sized office, and I loved it. Each morning, I'd ride the train into DC, get settled, and then call my boss, Cynthia. We'd go over the day, but she always started by asking me how I was doing. How you doing, Sarah? Ask me about the kids and my husband. She really cared about me as a person, and work was always second. Of course, she had to give me feedback too, sometimes really hard feedback. Writing communication pieces for our company was pretty brutal. Cynthia was a stickler for details and consistency, and my ENFP brain struggled. I'd hand something in feeling super proud, only to get it back redlined from top to bottom. And yet, she stayed patient. She coached me. She didn't give up when I wasn't getting it. That trust mattered. Because when my manager went on maternity leave, Cynthia gave me the responsibility of helping run the day-to-day operations. For someone so green, that made me feel incredibly valued. She believed in me, and yet I messed up a lot. One mistake still sticks with me today. Part 3, The Moron Twins Moment. Working for Cynthia, I did a lot. Part of my role was recruiting, which meant scheduling interviews and training hiring managers on how to conduct legal and professional interviews. I got pretty good at it. Maybe too good. One day, a candidate came for their second interview with 2 of my peers. Those peers didn't show up for 10 minutes, leaving the candidate waiting. I was mad, righteously angry. When the interview ended, I stormed down the hall to their office and in front of their team asked, "Where can I find the moron twins?" Then I pulled them both into a room and let them have it. I mean, I did not hold back. I thought I was being a hero for defending the candidate. But before I could even make it back upstairs to brag to Cynthia, the director of that team had already called her. She pulled me into her office and asked me what happened. As I told the story and reading her face, my pride started to crumble. I felt ashamed. But Cynthia didn't yell, and she didn't shame me. She asked one simple question. So what are you going to do? I looked at her and said, I'm going to go apologize. And she replied, make it happen. So I did. I took the elevator down, shoulders slumped, embarrassed. I gathered the entire team in a small room, and with tears in my eyes, I apologized. I promised it would never happen again. Then I left, crying the entire way back upstairs. Cynthia checked on me later, but here's what she didn't do. She never brought it up again. It was never a remember when you screwed up story. In fact, I don't even think it made my review that year. Instead, it became a funny memory we laugh about today. But at the time, it was one of the greatest lessons in grace I think I had ever received. Part 4, Heart and Grace. This is what trust on training wheels looked like. Cynthia gave me responsibility before I earned it. She let me wobble, and when I fell, she picked me back up. And through that, she modeled heart. She heard me, checking in every morning, not just about work, but on my life. She empathized with me, patient when I was learning. She acknowledged my effort, even when my drafts came back in red ink. She responded with coaching and accountability, like the day I had to apologize. And she always thanked me for showing up, for learning, for growing every single day. Through it all, Cynthia allowed me to fail forward and still feel valued, even when I was green and still figuring it all out. This is how transformational leaders build trust, not by demanding perfection, but by giving people room to grow and by giving grace. My faith tells me that trust and grace are sacred. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs 3:5. Cynthia is also a woman of faith, and she lived it every day and still does. After 18 years of being my mentor, she continues to lead with quiet strength, bringing her values into every decision and every interaction. And I think that's why her leadership left such a lasting mark on me. Through her patience and kindness, I got to see a glimpse of God's grace in action. That's what leadership with heart really is. Grace in motion. And it changed the trajectory of my entire career. The next episode. So if you've enjoyed hearing about my first transformational leader, I have great news. In episode 2, I will be interviewing the one and only Cynthia Howell Aiken, my lifelong friend and mentor. Cynthia brings over 4 decades of leadership experience in the HR arena. 5 of those years she spent molding me directly. So to hear more about our time together, join in next time. Thank you for joining me for my very first episode of Leading with Heart. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss what's coming. And until next time, remember, lead with heart and the rest will follow.